How's it going, YouTube and all the ISL fans out there? Welcome to the first weekly recap video on the channel. I am Tyfighter23, coach of the Miami Heatrans, and I am here with...
Hi, I'm Berk, coach of the New England Patrats.
And this will both be co-hosting all the weekly recap videos from here until week 10. I want to make a little disclaimer for week 1. I understand when this video goes up, none of the other week 1 matchup videos will be going up. Sort of breaking the fourth wall, it was July 4th weekend, so a lot of work and a lot of stuff was going on, so those matches won't unfortunately be going up. But for week 2 matchups, those videos will be going up once I get those in, so look out for those videos after this one. But let's get into the first match. The first match of the week that we had was the San Francisco 49Tails going up against the Atlanta Sharks. And the Atlanta Sharks picked up a 4-0 victory over the San Francisco 49Tails. This was actually a really good match. Bob played really well. He played around the defensive walls that Ninetails had in Klefki, Porygon 2, and Zapdos. And I think that was really, really smart on his part. Thunderous T getting 3 kills and 0 deaths in this match was definitely something big for him in this match. Because if he did not bring Thunderous T, he might have not been able to win this match because it really came through for him. I don't believe Arcanine or Drapion even hit the field. I could be wrong. Berk, do you remember if they hit the field or not?
I think Drapion might have hit the field once. I don't think Arcanine reached the field.
It definitely was an interesting matchup. It was sort of going back and forth for a little bit there, but then in the end, Thunderous T sort of just came in and swept everything and sort of just took the lead for him. What was your opinion on the match?
Yeah, so Bob pre Bob played really well around the Weavile, only picking up 2 kills. That thing is I would say one of the best revenge killers there is, and Bob couldn't really do much to his team with it. So yeah, he just played really well. That Thunderous T came in real clutch during that battle. Getting those 3 kills. He didn't really have too much for uh, Bob's team.
Yeah, like I expected the Mega Lopunny to possibly get more kills than the Thunderous T. Like when I first looked at who brought each what, I thought the Mega Lopunny would probably come in really well against this match. And with Thunderous T getting 3 kills and Mega Lopunny only getting 1, it definitely Bob definitely proved me wrong in that. That was I think both of those together were really able to put in plenty of work for this team.
Yeah, well, he's got uh, both Mega Lopunny and Thunderous T can be pretty effective revenge killers. So you got 2 on his team with Cresselia soaking up hits, Arcanine being able to soak up hits, Drapion also as well. Uh, yeah, uh, Boo didn't really have a chance to really cement his place and get a lot of momentum in his favor.
No, he didn't. He tried in the beginning, but it just sort of was going downhill for him once he started losing stuff like Dragonite and Klefki and stuff like that, which really hurt him a lot. He definitely needed those mons to come through for him, and unfortunately, they all just were taken out by stuff like the Azumarill and Thunder's Team, Mega Lopunny, the only 3 mons getting the kills for the Atlanta Sharks. And after he started losing mons, he sort of just wasn't able to come back and wasn't really able to help him out much in the end. The only reason why Weavile died in the very end was only due to Life Orb. Weavile was taking out both 2 mons in a row for Boo, and sort of sucks that it only died to Life Orb damage, because if it wasn't on Life Orb, wasn't taking those residual damages, I think Weavile probably could have brought the game back for him and possibly win the match. But
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna see more of Weavile later in the season.
oh yeah, definitely.
It's so good. I mean, really fast, really strong. Got that really nice dual stab going. So I'm sure didn't do so well this week. I mean, still 2-1. Uh, but I'm fairly confident we're going to see it getting a lot more kills later in the season.
Oh, I definitely agree. I'm excited to see how he bring that Weavile for the rest of his matches this season because as we've seen in the GBA, Weavile is a major threat, like you said, a really good revenge killer. So I'll really like to see how he brings it out for the rest of the season. So,
Definitely.
all right. So you want to talk about match two?
Yeah, so the second match was myself coaching the New England Patrats versus Oz and the Carolina Pansears. I was able to pick up a pretty big 6-0 win over Oz. I brought the Mega Venusaur, Excadrill, Thundurus, Vaporeon, Cofagrigus, and his elf. And Oz brought the Mega Aerodactyl, Hydreigon, Rotom H, Vileplume, Toxicroak, and Galvantula. My Mega Venusaur able to pick up 3 kills that week. Cofagrigus, another 2. Thundurus only getting 1. My 2 walls picked up 5 of the kills. Throughout this match, he just didn't really have much from a Mega Venusaur and my Cofagrigus. So they were just able to wall his entire team. And, they couldn't really do much.
Yeah, like when I was watching your matchup, I was really concerned because I could not see him go for flamethrowers and stuff like that against Mega Venusaur, and I don't know if he just forgot about Thick Fat when Mega Venusaur Mega evolves, but he just wasn't able to, like you said, wasn't able to do anything. He did bring the Aerodactyl with Aerial Ace, hoping to take it out, but you just never gave him an opportunity to hit for him to actually stay in on Mega Venusaur. You kept on switching at the Cofagrigus, which was smart on your part, and Cofagrigus was eventually able to take out the Aerodactyl, so then your Mega Venusaur was able to get the final kill. So,
Yeah, anytime I saw the Mega Aerodactyl coming in, I wasn't staying in with my Mega Venusaur. But yeah, I think he forgot about the Thick Fat with Hydreigon. But Hydreigon, even against my Mega Venusaur, I calced it a choice specs modest Draco Meteor from a Hydreigon only does 40%. I mean, in the match, crit overheat from Rotom only did 50%. So,
I mean, you got your there was points where he had your Mega Venusaur down to really low health, almost in range of anything to come in and kill it, but you just brought that synthesis, which was smart on your part to gain all the HP back. So,
yeah. I was also surprised he didn't bring the Mew. I'm expecting to see that, if not every week, pretty much every week. Because that thing, I mean, it basically is like a patch to your team. Whatever you don't have, you slap Mew in there, and it just fills up the role. It is the definition of versatility.
it really is. Like, I feel like if, just my personal opinion, if he brought the Mew over the Hydreigon, he might have done a little bit better because he could have brought it like a Choice Specs Mew or a Choice Scarf Mew, and he could have wrecked through your whole entire team with that if he brought the right coverage moves. I'm sure probably a Psyshock from a Mew, like Choice Specs or something, might have taken out Mega Venusaur in one hit, since you're running a especially defensive one.
Yeah, it might have. I don't know. I guess we won't find out now. I know Psyshock would have done a lot to my Mega Venusaur considering it's especially defensive, not physically defensive. But this week, 2 of my Pokemon didn't hit the field, Vaporeon and Zelf. And Excadrill was only there the first turn to set up Stealth Rocks, so...
I mean, he didn't play too horribly. He tried to pivot around some mons and try to make sure that he had some right things to use against your mons. He just fortunately didn't have the right movesets and the right stuff like that to really go against your Cofagrigus, Mega Venusaur core. So hopefully we'll see him bring different stuff next week and try out some of these mons again. I did like him bringing Galvantula, try to slow down like Excadrill, because Excadrill can be a major threat to a lot of things. So but the rest of your mons though weren't really that speedy on your team. So I didn't really see why he brought Galvantula. I liked seeing it just because it's Galvantula, but I didn't really see much use for it against your team exactly.
Yeah, I also like the fact that he brought a lot of Volt turn action. I mean, he had Hydreigon with U-turn, Rotom H with Volt Switch, and Galvantula with Volt Switch. The only thing that I have on my team that, you know, won't take a Volt switch is Excadrill. So I did like the fact that, he definitely had a lot of, uh, you know, initiative,
Hmm.
initiative gaining, uh, but he just never got a chance to really put that into full effect.
Yeah, once your Mega Venusaur took out both Galvantula and Rotom Heat, he sort of started losing momentum real quick there. Wasn't really able to get much ground after that. The Toxicroak, unfortunately, he started setting up with it, and I thought he might start sweeping your team, but you're able to use that Cofagrigus, and he just didn't have the right moves to take out the Cofagrigus, and that really hurt him a lot. So,
Yeah, I was really worried about knockoff when he didn't have it. That was like such a relief to me. But even still, my Excadrill was Focus Sash, so
still well
kills.
done. It's still bringing that, like, taking out Cofagrigus or something might have really helped him with his Aerodactyl. Would
Oh
have
yeah,
given a better chance of going against your Mega Venusaur.
yeah,
But I felt like he should have probably brought Crunch for Mega Aerodactyl. I don't remember if he brought that or not. Uh,
yeah. I don't know what. Uh, I don't really know what set he brought. I think I only really saw the Aerial Ace and Stone Edge.
I think that's all I saw too.
I mean, two great stabs. That actually does a lot of damage to my team.
It really
Uh,
does.
but uh, yeah, it was just I just had the right walls. I during my team building, I was looking like what can be my physical wall. I know I want especially defensive Venusaur, and then I saw Cofagrigus, and I'm just like, wow, that just walls most of his physical threats. So I think I just had a really good team matchup against his.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I think after him trying to do something against your Cofagrigus, I think you burned his Mega Aerodactyl, and
no, I burned his
that's what it
Vileplume.
was. You burned your Vileplume. I remember you
Yeah,
burning something that was just it sort of just because even with Vileplume getting burned, it's like well you don't really have much good recovery with it unless you run like Synthesis and stuff like that on it, which I think he was running more like a specially attacking Vileplume. I think.
yeah, yeah.
So it sort of didn't really help his team matchup at all against yours. So
Yeah, but I'm really confident, and I'm really excited to see what he comes up with in the future. It's a tough format to get used to, and I don't think he has a ton of experience with it. So this is really a learning experience. You get to learn how to really play the format,
mhm.
and I think he's just gonna definitely improve as the season progresses.
I really do hope so. I hope that he's able to bounce back from this, and I hope he doesn't take this 6-0 loss too harshly. Hopefully he just forgets that was week one. Let's
Yep.
just move on to the next week, and hopefully, I believe you do go against him one more time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're
hopefully,
this.
because the GBA always, the analysts in GBA always say that they never, it's very hard to beat someone twice in a row, like twice in one season. So,
Yeah, it definitely is.
so hopefully he'll remember this week one matchup against you and move on from that, and hopefully do better. So,
Yeah. I'm looking forward to my rematch.
so match three was the Bayleef Munichs going against the Florida Feraligatrs, and the Florida Feraligatrs got a 2-0 victory over the Bayleef Munichs. Um, the Florida Feraligatrs, Jair brought the Zdrachi, the Tornadus T, the Infernape, the Amoonguss, the Seismitoad, and the Landorus I. And the Bayleef Munich's Tom brought the Mega Gardevoir, the Scizor, the Keldeo, the Dragalge, the Gorgeist, and the Diggersby. Um, this was a really good matchup. Going 2-0 was definitely a good thing for Bayleef Munich for not having too much of a high differential. What really came through for him though, because Diggersby started coming in at the very end there and started really doing work against Hayer's team, but the Lander's Eye just was not something that Diggersby could handle, and he was able to stop Diggersby from really doing work on his team and was able to take him out. Um, while looking at what else happened in that match, it was a really back and forth match. Like it was sort of going back and forth. Like one team knocked out something, then another team knocked out something else. Like the Dragalge going down so early in the matchup though was sort of hurtful for the Bayleaf Munich because Dragalge could put in plenty of work against some of those mons on his team, with Draco Meteors and stuff like that. But then Gorgeist going down, one of his Tom's walls definitely hurt him because Gorgeist would have walled stuff like Lander's Eye, Tornado's T, well, not Tornado's T, but Lander's Eye, Amoonguss, and stuff like that. And so I feel like that really hurt him. Um, but what do you have to say about the match?
Well, uh, I mean, there's a Mungus versus Gorgeist Stallfest going on in this match. I mean, they were in on each other, and it took about 10 turns for one person to realize this isn't going anywhere,
Yeah.
and they had to take some offensive momentum. And the Florida Feraligatrs kept up a pretty good momentum throughout the match. Uh, Bayleef, Munich didn't really have. Yeah, they were kind of playing defensively for most of the game. The Mega Gardevoir got put to sleep real early and did not get to do anything, which I think was, you know, if you want one thing asleep, it's not your Mega. It's especially Mega Gardevoir. That thing, I mean, it takes out the Amoonguss, it takes out the Infernape, and do big damage to like the Landorus, Tornadus, and if you have like Shadow Ball, you know, the Jirachi.
Mhm.
So that definitely sucked for him. And it was looking pretty bad for him towards the end, but that Scizor and Diggersby, you know, can't underestimate the Diggersby. That took out two of his Pokemon right away
Mhm.
before going down after not being able to OHKO the Landorus.
Yeah, he just Lander's Eye is a very good defensive mind, and it just Diggersby was not able to handle it very well with. I believe ground does resist normal, so it
No,
it
no,
doesn't.
Grant. Nope.
Then that Lander's Eye was just really bulky. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
um,
it would have to take it out from full health, which, you know, that's still pretty hard to do.
yeah, 'cause, he was able to take out the Seismitoad early on in the match, and then take out the Infernape, which, if like taking out that Infernape was a major thing for him because that Infernape could have easily taken out the Diggersby at any other time. So,
Hmm.
uh, like you said, and there was a little bit of misconfusion about Sleep Claws. Showdown didn't really work the way we wanted it to for this match.
Yeah, they played in custom, so there was no uh, rules. But looking at the match, he put to sleep the Dragalge, and really it died like a turn or two later, so
Yeah,
that didn't really matter too much. And Keldeo was put to sleep, and it died the next turn to a Giga Drain, which if Hyair just went for the Giga Drain the first turn, would have died anyway.
exactly.
So yeah, we know for the future, you know, sleep clause, but it didn't make much of a difference in this match.
It really didn't. Like the Mega Gardevoir going to sleep really hurt him because he, like you said, had a lot of things going against him. But there wasn't really much at that point he really could do about it because he was the first mon to go to sleep, and
Yeah,
so I mean, there's nothing much he can do at that point because that Mega Gardevoir could have dealt with Amoonguss really well and stopped him from taking out stuff like the Keldeo and stuff like that. Which the Keldeo could have been very nice against that Lander's Eye, but unfortunately he went down, so there wasn't much he really could do about it. But
yeah,
like you said, Diggersby and Scizor near the end there really came through for Tom and the Bayleef Munichs just to help lower that differential and try to bring the game back for them.
yeah.
There
Really
was,
putting in the work this week.
but there just wasn't much he could do against that Lander's Eye. It came through and sort
Yep,
of stopped both of them in their tracks, and there wasn't much they can do at that point. So,
yep.
but let's start talking about the next matchup, match four.
Yeah. So match four was Miami Heatrans, coached by Ty, and Dallas Victory Stars, coached by Xavier. And Ty, you brought Suicune, Gengar, Honchkrow, Dusclops, Mega Charizard X, and Terrakion. Xavier brought the Mega Manectric, Mismagius, Gastrodon, Chestnut, Victini, and Tyranitar. Not a good matchup for you. He had a lot for you. You made some misplays, switching in that Gengar after you switched out the Dusclops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a pretty bad misplay.
Yeah.
And Mega Charizard X having Solar Beam. Um, yeah, I mean, I understand why Solar Beam, but Hidden Power Grass, it does the same thing in two turns as a non-sunny day Solar Beam does. So,
Yeah, I've realized that after the fact. I originally had him Power Grass, but then right before the matchup started, I switched to Solar Beam, just thinking, okay, well, I sort of need something I would want something to try to take out that Gastrodon much better. And I don't know why, but I thought Solar would do the trick, but then I realized, oh wait, he's just gonna switch out of it. And that was after in the match. I was like, well, can't go back fix that now. Gengar went down to two. I had the Suicune out. I believe it was no, I don't remember if it was Suicune or Dust. I had something out, and this
You,
mage just kept on going for energy balls. I believe it was.
well, you had yeah. So it was going for energy balls. You had your Dusclops out in the Mismagius, and I think he predicted that he was going to go for an energy ball, again, predicting the switch into Suicune, which I think he had done previous.
Hmm.
But he just went for the Shadow Ball. He switched into Gengar, and it died in one hit.
Yeah, that really hurt me a lot. Because if I was able to bring that Gengar in on clean, I could have easily taken that Mismagius without the Gengar going down due to outspeeding it, unless he was choice scarfed. Because I was running max speed in Gengar, so I definitely would have taken it out. And then everything else is just, I did not have a good matchup against this team. I didn't really have much to really handle stuff like the Victini, the Gastrodon, the Chestnut was my major problem.
Yeah.
I had nothing for that Chestnut.
Well, you had the Honchkrow.
I had the Honchkrow, but unfortunately, after I took out the Mismagius, he went down. Um, and so there was not much at that point I was really able to handle the Chestnut with. So at that point, I was like, after the Honchkrow went down, I had nothing for the Chestnut. I knew there wasn't much I can do because my Mega Charizard X was more of a defensive set than it was a physical or special attacker. And then every time I had Terrakion out trying to deal with the Victini, he could bring in Chestnuts, and Poison Jab from a Life Orb Terrakion would not have done much against a physically defensive Chestnut. So I really had nothing for that Chestnut at that point.
Yeah, those bulky grass types giving a lot of people problems.
It really
Yeah,
is.
Chestnut is a great wall, and he has a pretty good core. Gastrodon, Chestnut, not sharing any weaknesses. Um, so yeah, he had a pretty well-rounded team. Victini, I think, was choice scarfed. Uh, so that thing's definitely a threat,
Hmm.
because it can run physical or special. I mean, yeah, it's hard to predict what your opponent's going to bring when you have something that I don't want to say average, but it average 100 across. So
Yeah, like honestly, when I was playing for his team, I didn't expect the Mismagius to come. I expected the Sylveon to come because
yeah,
it did. Granted, I do have three poison types on my team, like out of my 11 out of my draft,
yeah,
but him like I figure in my mindset, oh he knows I have three poison types and a fighting type that all are weak to psychic, so he's gonna bring the Victini. So I'm not gonna bring that like I was thinking he's gonna think I'm not gonna bring that many poison types, so he can bring the Sylveon, and so I had plenty of mons that had ways of dealing with the Sylveon. Fortunately, he didn't bring it, and so those coverage moves that I had with the Sylveon didn't really do anything else anywhere else, uh, and there wasn't much at that point I could really do. I mean, he played really well. I didn't after I lost to Gengar, my mindset was completely gone. I was able to bounce back after that because I was like, well, my fastest like revenge killer was just out of there, was completely done for. So didn't really know what else I was able to do.
yeah.
So I know I can probably bounce back to my next week's matchup, but I just have to play him better, and I can see Xavier doing really well in the next few matchups and doing really well for the season. So
Oh yeah, Xavier's definitely got a really dangerous team. Uh, he drafted really well, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do. I'm looking forward to my week 3 match against him because that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think you're going to be able to bounce back. It was a really, looking at the two teams, he definitely had the upper hand, both in the draft and in team preview. It was, he just had the better checks.
he did.
Uh,
He did. I'll give him credit for that, where credit is due, because he definitely had the better matchup against mine. And once I saw that team, I was like, all the mods I figured he'd be bringing, majority of them are there, and I did not plan for him. Like I said, if I brought the Hidden Power Grass, I probably could have brought Gastrodon a little bit lower, and that was
yeah,
a little better. But unfortunately, there wasn't much I can do at that point.
yeah, it's a tough loss, but I'm pretty sure that so other teams in like the GBA, they've lost 5-0 and 6-0 and then bounced back.
Yeah, I'm not.
So
I'm
I
not
mean,
too worried about it. I'm just glad I don't have to go against him again. That was my only matchup against him this whole entire season. So
yeah, I think I got to play him twice. So
he is in your
that's
division, yeah. So
that's gonna be fun.
have fun with that Victini.
Well, yeah, I definitely got to plan around it.
So our next matchup we had was the Cincinnati Regigigas going against the California Flamethrowers. It was
Calgary.
Calgary. Wow. Okay. So ignore the little edit in. The, I put California in the video. Ignore that. It's Calgary Flamethrowers. That was my bad. Um, and the Regigigas had a 1-0 victory over Hayden. Uh, who Damon is his name?
Hmm.
Alright, I want to make sure I pronounced that right. He brought Gardevoir, Hawlucha, Blastoise, Serperior, Rotom Wash, and Garchomp, while Hayden brought Mega Charizard Y, Heatran, Latias, Jellicent, Crawdaunt, and Armaldo. This was the closest and probably the best match so far this week. A lot of both of them planned really well for each other. I think it just came down to a little bit of hacks on some of the mons with the Blastoise and Latias. Blast paralyzing Latias turn one with I believe it was the Rotom 8, the Rotom Wash paralyzed it. Latias wasn't able to do much because the Blastoise came in, flinched it with Fake Out, running a physical Blastoise was ridiculous. Did not see that coming. And then Latias getting paralyzed the very next turn, and just being taken out by the Blastoise was definitely hurtful for Hayden because he really could use that Latias against some of his the other team members on Damon's team. The Mega Charizard Y getting 4 kills this whole entire battle, taking out the Garchomp, the Blastoise, the Superior, and the Gardevoir. It might have swept if it wasn't for the Superior outspeeding and glaring it, paralyzing him.
Yeah.
That allowed Hawlucha to outspeed it at that point and take it out, which was definitely, I mean, Charizard Y getting 4 kills is definitely impressive in this matchup. And then Crawdaunt tried to come back in the end by finally taking out that Hawlucha, but there wasn't much Crawdaunt and Armaldo can do together against the Rotom Wash, and Rotom Wash was able to sweep up the last 2 kills.
Yeah. This and probably the next match we're gonna go over, uh, were my two favorite matches of the week.
I agree.
This was so close, and uh, Hayden going a little bit more standard than Damon. I
Hmm.
loved the physical Blastoise set. I did not see that coming, and it blew me away. It was great. I mean, uh, you'd think like physical Blastoise. Who would run a physical Blastoise? I mean, its base attack is only 3 less than its base special attack, so it's not like it can run physical,
Hmm.
and he ran it well. Getting getting it on the Latias with Ice Punch and taking it was a 2-co against Latias, and that's really impressive. So I really like that. The glare on the Mega Charizard Y was crucial
It really
because if he
was.
didn't get that thing paralyzed, Mega Charizard Y would have just cleaned up shop for the rest of his team.
Because at that
Uh,
point, all he had left, I believe, was the Hawlucha and the Rotom Wash.
yeah,
So he could have easily taken out Hawlucha with a Flamethrower or Air Slash or something, and then one Solar Beam on the Rotom Wash. Unless it was max specially defensive, I think probably if it wasn't max specially defensive, he would have been able to take out that Rotom Wash. So it was definitely a good thing that Superior outsped and got that glare off.
yeah. One thing I was a little bit confused about is he did have, I think, a non-paralyzed Mega Charizard Y against that Rotom, and he decided to switch out at that point. And I was a little bit confused because I think Solar Beam might have killed, uh, and if it did, then he would have. There was nothing Damon would have been able to do at that point.
Mm.
Um,
I think he was
but
just fearing that maybe he might have been specially defensive, and so it
or
might have,
scarfs
or
or scarf.
scarfed. And
Yeah,
I think that what might have been fearing, but sometimes you just gotta take that risk.
Mhm.
I do know when I talked to him after the battle, he did say when that Blastoise was able to get that full polarization against Latias, because Latias was running Energy Ball, it would have
Mm.
taken out the Blastoise probably in one hit.
Yeah, I mean there were some hacks. The full para on the Latias really sucked, but I mean hacks are hacks.
Yeah, that's part of the game.
I mean, one of the things that you don't want to do is put yourself in a position where hacks are going to matter.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, he was in that position with the Latias. So, I mean, sometimes it's just, completely unavoidable. Um,
I mean, Hayden played really well. Like both these guys played really well. It just came down to that one last matchup with Crawdon the Rotom Wash, and there wasn't much Crawdon can really do to a Rotom Wash at that point. So
yeah. I mean, you could try to kill with a knockoff, but it gets off uh, one volt switch, that's it.
yeah, pretty much. And I mean, honestly, once the Hulucha took out the Charizard Y, when I think it had a sub and was trying to get a Sword Dance up and all that, I was really afraid that the Hulucha was just gonna sweep the rest of his team.
Yeah, but he did play around the Halucha very well. I mean,
Hmm.
he had enough priority on his team where he could take out the Halucha. So he got plenty of damage off on it with his Charizard, where I think an Aqua Jet could have easily killed. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he was able to play around it, but unfortunately, he still had the Rotom Wash in the back, and Damon did really well at preserving his win condition until the end.
Hmm. Because the Rotom Wash is able to handle both the Crota and the Armaldo with stab super effective moves, and that's what really came crucial for him at the end because he needed those, or those
Yeah,
mons would have just we would have been another Star War for a while, just sitting there waiting for one of them to die.
yeah. Well, uh, I I just really like both teams in this matchup. I just did. I like the fact that Hayden has like this bulky Sun team
Hmm.
against just a really some really innovative sets. Some standard, some innovative, and it just happened to work out in Damon's favor.
I do like how he brought like two mons that really benefited in the sun, and then two other mons that sort of made part of their stab sort of weaken to the sun with Jellicent and Crawdon, but it
Yeah,
was it was it worked out for his team, and he was able to bring it down to make sure it was only a 1-0 victory and not like one of the bigger differentials out there. So
yeah. That it was a really close match. Both players played extremely well. And I'm excited to see how both of them do later in the season.
yeah, I think the Calgary Flamethrowers and Hayden will definitely be able to bounce back from this battle because being only a 1-0, you're at a -1 differential right now. You can easily come back and do
Oh,
better on the next few weeks.
oh yeah, like that's like one of the least worrying differentials ever. So
Yeah, it's not a 5-0 or a 6-0 like some of us are at. So he
yeah,
has a much better hope, and I can't wait to see how he does for next week's matchup. So,
yeah, I'm excited for both of them.
mm-hmm. All right, so that brings us to our last matchup.
Yeah, uh, yeah. So it's Braden and Seattle Superiors versus Cameron and Manaphy City. Uh, the Seattle Superiors brought Kabutops, Jolteon, Uxie, Nidoqueen, Kyurem Black, and Escavalier. And Manaphy City brought the Gliscor, Quagsire, Greninja, Florges, Mega Alakazam, and Talonflame. Uh, this this was probably my favorite battle of the week. Uh, Braden didn't even bring his Mega, which was pretty interesting. I forget what his Mega is. I think
Mega Scizor, I believe.
it's Mega Diancie.
Mega
So
Nancy, okay.
uh, so he didn't bring his Mega. And at the team preview, it was it looked like a pretty strong showing by Cameron and a pretty odd team by Braden. He has like a bunch of NU and UU, and his only OU Pokemon was Kyurem Black.
Mm-hmm.
But he brought the rain this week. He brought a pseudo rain team, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yuxi with the rain dance, and I think Kabutops also had rain dance.
It did, yeah.
And Kabutops was able to just score 2 kills. Didn't even didn't get killed. It died to its own life orb. Um, yeah, it was really cool. And he just had a lot of Pokemon that worked well in the rain. Scavalier. I think that might have been an Assault Fist Scavalier that worked really well.
I mean, the
Um,
Jolteon was able to have Thunder, which really came through for him there.
yeah, no, Thunder Jolteon. Yeah, Thunder's not that much more powerful, and in normal situations, that 70 accuracy is just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, if you're using the rain, there's no point not to go for it. And yeah, Cameron had a pretty strong team, but I don't think he utilized it that well. Even though he had two Pokemon that work well in the rain, being Greninja and Quagsire. Gliscor doesn't really care about it. But to me, he made a few questionable plays. He let his Mega Alakazam go down real quick. He went for an HP Fire against the Escavalier in the rain. It did like 10% damage, and the Escavalier was able to bring down the Mega Alakazam almost to death in one attack.
I think when I talked to Karen after the battle, he was afraid that the Escavalier would have pursuit, so he didn't want to switch out into the floor just at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so after doing the calcs, it would have been a 2-hit KO if normally without the switching of out with pursuit. So either way, whether he switched out or not, if you
Yeah,
did, but Scavalier didn't have pursuit, so it was a risk that he didn't want to risk. He could have risked it, and it might have paid out for him in the end. But
yeah. I just feel like Braden kept putting himself in really good positions
mhm.
against Cameron, and he just once that rain dance went up, Braden held the momentum really well, scoring himself a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, that was meaning that Kieran B really came through there in the end, helping him win out. And I don't think Nidoqueen ever hit the field once, did it?
No, Nido Queen sat on the bench this game.
So we don't even know what set that Nidoqueen was running. So that's definitely definitely a good thing there. And I know that his Gliscor was a especially defensive Gliscor. It wasn't a physical, which we've seen Morvone using GBA.
Yeah, especially defensive. It tanks hits from HP ices pretty well.
Yep. It's just the Kieran. I think it was the Kieran B that took out the Gliscor. I don't remember who took out the Gliscor.
Yeah, I don't remember, but um, I thought it was great seeing Kabutops put in work. I remember during the draft I saw him pick up Kabutops, and he has no like dedicated range setter, and normally I think it's like NU,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that and I'm
That's
like,
it's for UU.
yeah, well I'm talking in standard play.
Oh yeah.
In standard
Place.
play it's NU because it does nothing without the rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him bring the Kabutops during the matchup, and I said, yeah, I cannot believe he's bringing the rain. And yeah, so some Kabutops, it didn't like get 4 kills like Mega Charizard did, but getting 2 kills and 1 death, and the death only being to Life Orb, that's pretty good.
No, yeah, that's definitely true. It sort of sucks that like we said before, man, both teams had the rocks up, which were definitely
Hmm.
coming in sort of clutch for both teams. They really needed that.
Yeah, especially for the Talonflame.
Yeah, and that Greninja was finally able. We thought that the Greninja was gonna start just sweeping the rest of his team, but it wasn't able to. Even after a Dark Pulse, I don't know if he didn't bring Focus Blast or not for the Kieran block or not.
I didn't know if he brought Ice Beam. I think he did bring Ice Beam, but he calced it, and the Ice Beam wouldn't have killed.
I mean, the Dark Pulse only did about 42%, so it only brought it brought Kieran Black almost to death range, but it unfortunately didn't, and then he was just able to go for Volt Strike and got a crit for the Fusion Bolt. I don't know if that crit mattered or not, since it was a Dark type, not a Water type at that point.
Yeah, well, Kyurem B, base 170 attack, Greninja, paper thin defenses. You let
That's
me
true.
know if the crit mattered.
Yeah, it sort of sucked, but because I think if he was able to get around that Kieran Black with the Greninja, Greninja might have been able to take out the Uxie and Nidoqueen just fine. After
Yeah,
that, due to like water and dark type moves, so that Kieran Black just was able to come through for Seattle Serperiors and win out that match.
yeah. I mean, he just they both played really well,
Hmm.
and I'm just again, like pretty much all the rest of the teams. I'm really excited to see what both of them come up with. I mean, Cameron has that just hyper offensive team that's just going to be able to threaten a lot of other teams really well, and we can see now that Braden's just going to be able to come up with some really interesting sets. His matches are going to be a lot of fun to watch.
They really will be, and like you said, every single team on here, even though it was only week one, some teams got the win, some teams didn't. It's gonna happen in week one. We can only go from this point out and see how everyone else does.
Yeah.
So let's get into the MVP race. We decided to list the top 10 Mons who got the most kills and the highest differentials in specific order, just to figure out who's going to be the top Mon by the end of the season. Our number one Mon is Mega Charizard Y with the Calgary Flamethrowers, with 4 kills, 1 death, and a +3 differential. And then we have Mega Venusaur and Thunderous Eye, both with a 3-0, 3-0 kills, 3 kills, 0 deaths, and a +3 differential. Um, at this point, it doesn't really matter who's in second, who's number 2, who's number 3, since they both have the exact same differential. So if one of these monsters is going to go up, the other one's going to go down. Possibly both could go down. We'll never know for next week's matchup. But go ahead.
They might stay the same.
They easily could, and we'll just see how that goes from here on out. So talk about the 4 through 10 for you.
All right, so number 4 we have another of my own Mons, Regigigas, getting 2 kills, 0 deaths. Then we have Kyurem B, Landorus I, and Rotom all with 2 kills, 0 death. Kyurem B from the Seattle Serperiors, Landorus I from Florida Feraligatrs, and Rotom from the Cincinnati Regigigas. And then the only thing that's going to show up is 8 through 10, which is 8 is Diggersby, 2 kills, 1 death, +1 from Bayleef Munichs. Same with Greninja from Manaphy City, and Hawlucha from the Cincinnati Regigigas. But not shown are the 11 through 14. They also have 2 kills, 1 death with a +1 differential, and that's Kabutops, Mismagius, Scizor, and Weavile. So really, it's
It's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, it's so close. But Mega Charizard Y picking up those 4 kills, that's pretty ridiculous for one game.
It really is. Hopefully we'll be able to see more from the Mega Charizard Y. See maybe he can keep that number 1 spot with the weeks to come. We've seen in the GBA that once a Mon gets to the number 1, it's very hard for them to get below number 1.
That's true. Weavile's been there for the entire time. And seeing how Hayden plays Mega Charizard Y, I don't see any reason why it's not going to stay there. I mean, he uses that as a really strong special sweeper. So
That is very true. So we'll just have to see how the rest of the weeks go for that one. It will definitely be interesting to see who wins what. The Mega Venusaur and the Thunderous Eye could, Thunderous T could come up and take that number 1 spot, or they could drop down and someone else could take the number 2 and 3 spot. We'll never really know until week 2. I expect the way that you played Mega Venusaur and the way that we'll just have to see how other people prepare against it, because if no one prepares against it very well,
it's getting more kills.
yeah, pretty much. Which, I mean, knockoff on a Mega Venusaur is definitely going to come in handy, so people are going to have to watch out for that as well.
Yeah.
And then Thunderous T, same thing with Charizard Y. It's a very good sweeper. It can be a really good revenge killer. It's a really good Mon, and it has really good special attack stats, so it can just come in and just take lives. And we see how Bob used it in his matchup this week, and hopefully we'll be able to see more of that and see how well he does for it the rest of the week. So
yeah, this week, I mean, we'll see how the MVP race keeps going week to week. But I would think unpredictable Pokemon up in the top 10. I mean, Cofagrigus, number 4 currently. Well, number 4 through 7. But that's not a Pokemon you'd think you would see up in the top 10. Mega Venusaur, especially the way I played it, yeah, as a wall, number 2 right now. So it's going to be interesting to see. We also have Kabutops, uh, at number, 8 through 14. So a lot of Pokemon that, you know, pretty different. And I really like to see a whole lot of variety in the MVP race.
Oh, that's very true. And Weavile is technically up there, and even though he's number 14, I mean, he could be number. He's technically number tied with number 8. He's just it went in alphabetical order. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we could see Weavile jump up and become a major threat in the MVP race, just like he is in the GBA. So,
Oh, yeah. This is just week 1. So we're going to definitely see how different Pokemon stack up week to week.
yep. And let's talk about week two's matchups, shall we?
All right.
Uh, so,
Uh,
so you can go ahead and talk about the first match.
all right. So, one thing I wanted to mention about week 1 matches that I forgot to mention.
All right.
Uh, this week, just like the first week of the GBA, we had a 1-0, a 2-0, a 3-0, a 4-0, a 5-0, and a 6-0. So,
Well, hopefully we don't have a week two of the GBA where we have a whole bunch of hacks.
yeah, let's hope no repeats of that. Let's hope for clean, hacksless matches this week.
That'd be very, very nice.
And the first match, uh, well, first match of week 2 is the Atlanta Shocks, coached by Bob, who is currently 1-0, versus the Carolina Pansears, who's 0-1.
So who do you think is going to win that match, just based off how they played and how they planned for week one? Who do you think is going to come out on top for this one?
Yeah, so I think still, since Oz is still kind of getting used to the format, I think Bob's going to be taking this one. He played really, really well week 1, so I think Bob is probably going to take it.
I agree. I think that he'll probably pick it up maybe at like a 1 or 2-0 victory. Nothing too crazy because I feel like uh, the Oz will definitely be able to bounce back from this and realize, okay, well maybe I should plan a little better for my teammates, and I feel like he'll come up with a much better team for the against the Land Sharks than he did against your team. So I think it'll probably be a small differential win, but I don't think it'll be a major win for Bob. But I think it definitely will be a win.
Yeah, I'm really hoping to see that Mew next week.
Yeah, I really hope so because that Mew can definitely put in some work against any team that he goes against. So hopefully he'll bring that this week. The next match that we have up is the Florida Feraligatrs, who are 1-0 right now, versus Miami Heatrans, yours truly, with a 0-1. Honestly, I can't give a prediction on this because this is my match. I'll be a little biased on this one, but go ahead and give us your prediction of who you think is going to win this match.
So yeah, I don't really want to say this, but seeing how you played week 1 and seeing how Florida Feraligatrs played week 1, I'm gonna have to give it to the Florida Feraligatrs. I think it's gonna be a really close match, but Jair played really well. But I think if you plan better than you did week 1, shore up some of those misplays, I think it go. I think it could go either way.
I mean, it's your opinion, and I can't fault you for it. If I
Hope
mean,
not.
I agree. For Alligators did how you did play really well, planned really well for his matchup. I did have a few misplays that really hurt me, and I didn't plan as much for all the mons and as well as I really should have. So I can definitely see where you're coming from. So we'll see what happens in week 2.
Yeah. And so the third match is myself, coach of the New England Patrats, 1-0 versus Boo and the San Francisco 49Tails, 0-1. So obviously I'm not going to give my own prediction because I think I'd like to win. But who do you think is going to win, me or Boo?
Based off how you all played, I mean, you planned really well. You brought really good matchup against Oz, but Oz didn't really plan that well to go against your team, so it sort of gave you the advantage there. Boo planned somewhat well for his team, for Bob's team, played decently well. He just didn't have much rule to answer for the Thunderous T. So I think it will be a real close matchup. I'm probably gonna have to give you the victory though. Just sort of like
Yes.
just sort of like we talked about the match earlier with Bob and Oz. I think it'll probably be like a 1 or 2-0 victory. I don't think you'll have a high differential like you did last week. Um, but I think you'll probably win this one just due to Mega Venusaur is definitely gonna be a problem for Boo's team. If he can plan well enough to counteract your Mega Venusaur and get it low or take it out, I think he'll probably have a better chance of beating you. But just due to the Mega Venusaur and the Regigigas core that you have, it's going to be very hard for him to break through. So I think I'm going to have to give you the victory on this one.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the match. I'm always looking forward to every match. Um, but yeah, we'll see how he plans. I'd like to say I win this one, but anything can happen in the match. I don't know how he's going to plan, so we'll see how it goes.
Yep, that's very true. The next matchup is the Calgary Flamethrowers, Hayden, who's 0-1 right now, versus the Manaphy. See, I cannot speak at this point. The Manaphy City, Cameron, with an 0-1 as well. One of these teams is going to go 1-1, so one of these teams is still going to have 0 wins under his belt, while the other team finally chucks off a point in that winners column.
Hmm.
Who do you think is going to win this match?
This one is extremely hard for me to call because they both played very well in their week one matches, and they both have very threatening teams for each other. Uh, I think I'm going to give the edge to Hayden in this match. Um, his core of Chansey, Heatran, uh, Latias, Jellicent, Armaldo. He has so much bulk on his team, and I think it's going to be hard for Cameron to break through that. I mean, he's got some really, really strong threats: Greninja, Talonflame, Salamence, Mega Alakazam. But I think that Hayden's. I'm going to give Hayden the edge.
I mean, that's understandable. I think it's pretty much a matchup between really bulky mons versus a hyper offensive team.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one. I think that Manaphy City, I think Cameron's gonna take this victory. With threats like the Greninja, Talonflame, Salamence, the Lucario, the Mega Alakazam, I think with the hyper offensive he brings for this team, I think he can break through the cores very well. He just has to work around the Sun and Mega Charizard Y,
Hmm.
which he does have some mods that could do somewhat well against that, with like the Salamence and the Gliscor. So I feel like I'm gonna say it's probably about gonna be maybe a 2-0 victory for the Manaphy City. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Cameron on this one. I just feel like his hyper offense is really gonna come through for this battle and bring him the victory for this one.
That's a good thing that we disagree a little bit.
Yeah, it's never fun to have everyone agree on the same thing every single time.
Yeah, I will say this about the match: rocks are going to be very important on both
Oh,
sides.
definitely. Both mons are very weak to rocks, and I feel like bringing ways to get rid of those rocks are going to be very crucial in their planning. Because
Well,
neither one of them wants to have rock damage taken upon them. So
yep. Both of them, I think, they don't really have many ways to set up rocks, and they don't have many ways to get rid of rocks either. So
mm,
it's going to be interesting how they utilize what they need to make sure those are up. And I'm looking forward to this match. I think it's
I
going
agree too. It's one of the two matches that I feel are going to be the star matches of the week.
to. All right.
So
So the next match is Damon in the Cincinnati Regigigas against Tom in the Bayleef Munich. Uh, I don't know who's going to win this one. uh, I mean, if I just looked at the records, yeah, Damon won 1-0 and Tom lost 2-0 last week. But they both played really well. They both have a lot of threats for the other team, and you know, I feel like I want to give this one to. I'm going to say Tom. Uh, I know Damon has the Mega Scizor, but Tom has the regular Scizor. So I think it's going to be interesting how each team uses their Mons, but Tom has checks to a lot of Damon's major counters, like Serperior. Tom has Blissey. Mega Scizor, Tom has Melodic and Dragalge and Gourgeist and Hitmontop. And so he just has a lot of hard counters to Damon's team.
Hmm.
But, I think it's going to be a really close match, but I'm going to give it to Tom.
No, I can see where you're coming from. This is the battle of the Megas versus not Megas, because Damon has Gardevoir, while Tom has Mega Gardevoir. Tom has Scizor, while Damon has Mega Scizor. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if both of them bring both those Mons, because either way, like Mega Scizor can deal with Mega Gardevoir really well, but then Scizor can deal with Gardevoir very well. Um, Due to the bug and steel tapings, it's gonna be interesting. Tom, like you said, has really good cores in Milotic, Scizor, Gourgeist, Hitmontop, Gothitelle,
Yeah.
while Damon, the only real cores that he has is Porygon Z, Rotom Wash if he wants to be, Gardevoir if he really wants to be, it's going to be difficult there, Donphan, uh, and Blastoise. And I feel like Damon's probably going to bring the Donphan to set up the rocks and to get rid of rocks. Or he could bring both Donphan and the Blastoise, but that's two very bulky Mons. Or we could see physical Blastoise again if you really wanted to. Um, but I'll have to agree with you on this one. I agree that Tom just his defensive cores that he has definitely checks Damon's a lot better. With Blissey, Milotic, Gourgeist, and all those. Superior won't be able to sweep, I don't think, in this battle. Hulucha will be able to do some good damage, but it'll have to get up at least one or two Swords Dances to really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for Damon to really do well, he has to set up, and I think Tom's team is going to be able to stop him from setting up. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give it to Tom in this one. Definitely, it'll definitely be a really good matchup to see. But I feel like Tom's definitely gonna take this one in the bag. So,
All
but
right.
that brings us to our last battle. It's the battle of the 1-0s. One of these teams is gonna go 1-1, while the other one stays undefeated at 2-0. It's gonna be the Seattle Superiors and Braden versus the Dallas Victory Stars and Xavier. This is going to be a tough matchup. Xavier was able to get a good matchup with a 5-0 victory against me, while the Seattle Spears were only able to get a 3-0 victory over Cameron. I feel like the only way Braden's going to win is the use of like Kieran B and the team that he brought against the Manaphy City is going to be similar to the team that he sort of needs to bring against Xavier, in my opinion. The Victini is going to be a problem for him a little bit, but I feel like he has a lot of good checks for Victini. And then as well as for his Mega and stuff like that for Mega Manectric, Staraptor, Chestnut. Chestnut's going to be a little bit of a problem for Braden, but stuff like the Volcarona and the Nidoqueen and even the Sableye who can wall. Sableye and Chestnut probably just made a stalwart both of them brought. So it's definitely gonna be an interesting matchup. But I feel like, in my opinion, I think Braden. No offense to my co-host over in the interviews, but I think Braden's gonna take this one. What
Yeah.
about
I'm going to have to agree. And the reason is he's got that Lando T, and it hits the Mega Manectric really hard. It can stop a physical Victini. It can hit the Staraptor. It can hit the Empoleon. It can just do a lot of work against Xavier's team. Mega Diancie does the same thing. It just puts in a lot of work against Xavier's team. And I think, just looking at the matchup, I think Braden has the better team in this case.
you?
So I'm going to have to give this one to Braden. I think he's also going to come up with some really interesting sets. We'll just have to see how Xavier is going to handle, Braden's different threats like the Lando T and the Kyurem B and Mega Diancie.
I feel like he's definitely going to. Xavier's definitely going to bring rocks this week against Braden. In case he does bring the Volcarona and the KMB and the
Yeah.
Landorus T, and the Escavalier and stuff like that. Those mons don't really handle rocks too well. Braden doesn't have many ways to get rid of rocks.
He's got Cobb. I think Cobbatops gets Rapid Spin.
I think that's the only thing is that Kabutops gets Rapid Spin. I don't think anything gets Defog on his team. Um, so
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be interesting to see because if Xavier can get up rocks on this team, it's definitely going to come through from a little bit because he can at least dwindle down the stuff like the Volcarona and Landorus T and Kieran Black.
Yeah. Well, Volcarona will take 50%, so that would definitely come in clutch if Braden decides to bring the Volcarona and Xavier decides to get the rocks.
So we could see Empoleon making his debut this week. Or we can just see Tyranitar bring the rocks again this week, and just it'll definitely be interesting to see what he brings.
I'm really hoping to see Staraptor.
I feel like that. I mean, it doesn't really do much to his team except for maybe the Volcarona and the Breloom. Everything else is, we can sort of check the Staraptor pretty well. Maybe we'll see Breloom come in with the Hidden Power Flying against the Chestnut again.
We'll see. I mean, Braden, I think, has enough to deal with the Chestnut, especially Mega Diancie. I mean, one Moon Blast and that thing's dead.
Oh yeah, definitely. So there are plenty of ways for each team to counter each other, but I feel like Braden's just going to come out with a victory on this one. I feel like his team just checks his team a lot better, and he just has the bigger threats compared to Xavier's team. Kieran B has 2 kills, I believe, right now. And so I think he'll probably get more this week, being the physical threat that he is. I think he can handle Chestnut pretty well, which is really the overall physical wall. I mean, he could bring a physical Durant or a physical Tyranitar, or maybe it's a physical Gastrodon, but
That thing can run mixed, so Kyurem B mixed, very common.
it definitely could. And I think that might be his way of getting rid of the Chestnut, because he might bring a Chestnut thing. Oh, he's going to have a physical Kieran B, hit it with a special move, and take out the Chestnut just fine. So we'll see how it goes. But it's definitely going to be a close matchup. I don't think it's going to be a high differential like Xavier's last match was. I think it's definitely going to be a pretty close differential for this one.
Yeah.
But with that, that's this week's the matchup. We'll be doing some fine tuning on future future weekly recaps. So this one might be a little sporadic, but
And a little bit long.
yeah, this definitely was a little bit of a long one. But we'll make sure that they're more concise and moving much quicker once we do more of these. So you can look out for that. But with that,
Yep.
I'm Typhoid23, and I'm here with Berk, and we will see you all in the next video.
Later.
Bye.